When Japanese ice cream brand Little Moons went viral on TikTok, their sales increased tenfold. They were able to do all of this because they now knew the right consumer profile and what their consumers wanted. In this video, I'll cover how to do consumer research that helps you run an effective marketing strategy and helps you build better futures and products that your consumers will want. More specifically, I'll share how you can learn more about consumer profiling, how to create research surveys, and we'll go through an actual research that I did with Attest, a consumer research platform that I'm partnering for this video for my own business, and the mind-blowing results we've seen. This video is sponsored by Attest, and we'll learn much more about them throughout this video. All the timestamps to different sections are in the description box below. With 25% of business decisions based solely on gut instinct, you can trace back the biggest PR, advertising, or product disasters back to one simple fact. Instead of doing their research, they made big calls based on guesswork. There are many ways to carry out consumer research, such as social listening on, social media platforms. You can use tools like Google Trends, Uber Suggest, you can run ads, experiment, track the results, you can talk with your consumers, you can look back at testimonials, you can run some community polls, etc. And all of this information is extremely valuable and it gives you a direction, but it's not as strong as having a consumer research study to back up with data. And this is all very helpful, but most effective when paired with a professional consumer research study, which is exactly what I did. Without further ado, let me now share with you the resource that can help you to learn a lot more about this and how I carried out my own research and the results we've seen. Attest survey platform offers on-demand access to 125 million people across 58 countries, and you can get your insights back within days or sometimes even hours. And I know that investing into consumer insights might seem like a luxury right now, and having that finance conversation might be a bit of a challenge, but history shows us that this is actually essential for our survival. As marketers, we need to act like scientists and we need to know what we are getting ourselves into to make sure that the actions have the minimum cost impact. And this is the only way that we can actually make sure that what we are throwing out there as our ideas and campaigns actually have a higher chance to stick with our audience. Attest has a consumer research academy, which is a completely free resource that I think all marketers and even business owners should take advantage of because it's so full and it helps you to understand consumer profiling better, survey best practices, and brand tracking, which are the 3 different tracks that you can follow through once you are on the site. For the purpose of this video, we're going to take a deeper look into consumer profiling as it's more relatable to what we're talking about. And again, we're seeing 3 different sections of deep dives under the consumer profiling topic. And let's take a closer look at all 3 of them because I want you to see what you can learn once you go through like this free resource. Firstly, with the introduction to consumer profiling, I find this section to be really important to go through because this is where you learn about what exactly consumer profiling is, but why that's so important is because marketers tend to use the different terms exchangeably when we're talking about customer profiling, consumer profiling, buyer personas, target audiences, etc. So this is the section where you learn about the nuances and differences between all of those different terms and how exactly to approach consumer profiling. In the following section, you're going to learn about the business problems that consumer profiling can solve, and there's more that you can learn about here with a lot more detail, and you can also read through some case studies too. And this is the case study that I referred to in the intro of this video. While you're going through the information, you're gonna realize that there are links to example surveys, templates, best practices, question banks, etc. that can help you to design your own surveys as well and give you an understanding of how to approach, different types of questions when you are doing this kind of research. Which brings me to the following sections, which cover example survey questions, which is, I think, extremely important because sometimes as, non-research professionals, we have some assumptions about what those questions should look like, which is exactly what I had in mind when we started off designing my own survey for Rugless. And you're gonna realize that we updated those questions with a better wording, with a better way of, formulating to get the right answers or to get the best answers from our audience. So this is extremely important to understand the different type of questions that you can include in your surveys. And then you can also follow through to see some templates, example results. We're gonna see them in a moment, so stay tuned for that. And then also how to get started with consumer profiling for your own brand, just like taking the information into a more deeper level, how to start with a hypothesis. So here, I'll tell you more about my hypothesis again, like when we're going through my own results. But one thing that I had in mind was that people would be more inclined to share negative reviews. But interestingly enough, what we found out was that people were more inclined to leave positive reviews for the brands and products that they've interacted with. So a lot of, I guess, the myths or assumptions that I had in my mind were busted once we had the consumer profile study done. So this is going to help you, I guess, design your survey, your research study a lot better and more informed. And then there's also like sections on, what happens if you don't end up doing a consumer profiling, like what are, I guess, the losses that you can encounter, or how some brands have failed with their strategies or campaigns because they haven't done this. So I mean, look at this example with offensive advertising from Pepsi, because they had a very tone-deaf ad, etc. So like this is going to really help you understand why it's so essential. And maybe when you are kind of taking this conversation to your senior managers around why you should do consumer profiling, consumer research study, there's going to be a lot of like cases that you can use in your presentation to make your argument a lot stronger. So highly suggest going through the Consumer Research Academy. Again, as I mentioned, it's completely free, so take some time. I don't think it's going to take you longer than a few hours to go through the whole resource and take your notes and like really digest the information. So 100% recommend doing this, and you're gonna find the link in the description box below. As I mentioned, again, it's completely free, so why not do it? And now let's move on to my conversation with Attest customer research lead, Nick White. He's going to take me through the results that we got for my own customer research study. I'm extremely excited to see the results, and I'm extremely excited to get his insights on how I can best use this information to have a better campaign strategy. Let's do that. Okay, so this is the survey dashboard. If I had multiple surveys, this is what I'd be looking at, right?
Exactly, yeah. But from your engaging with Web3 survey, what you'll see is the results page up here. On the left-hand side, you have the questionnaire tree, so you can see how it flows throughout. On the left-hand side, you have a results breakdown as well as a results function. So the results function will show you, I'll just hide that, but it'll show you question by question how people respond, and it's very interactive. So if, for example, I want to see how people responded who said they learned about Web3 from a Google search, I could just click on that. And what that will do is apply a filter for the rest of the survey.
Okay. Oh, that's super interesting.
You can see that of those that have done a Google search, it changes differently. And you'll see that the dotted line up here is the total sample. And then those that you do a Google search are more likely to say often, always, often, or sometimes when they're reading it. So it allows you to apply filters on your data.
Oh, okay. I love that feature. I hadn't realized it, but it's very interesting.
And then I suppose on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side, you have the demographic filters. So within this survey itself, it was based on a nationally representative sample of the US, based on gender, the regions, and then age. And so you, from that, you can then target or select filters based on what you want to see. So if you want to just look at how men responded throughout the survey, you can click on that and it'll update the rest of the survey based on men. And then you can look at it compared to women as well. So from the survey itself, you can see that 54% of your audience were interested in engaging with Web3 communities. So it's slightly more than half. But actually what's quite telling is 46% are not interested in engaging it. So it's quite I'd say it's an untapped market at the moment, which is why, and there is some level of interest, but there could be more moving forward. But for question 2, where do people go to learn more about Web3 communities? It is Google searches. It's the main area. So if you were focusing any kind of awareness or brand building type of information, you would use Google as your primary area, followed by YouTube. Social does come up.
So this is a very interesting statistic, because I've spent the last year in Web3, and Web3 people only spend time on Twitter. And so this is very interesting, because it means that you should also be using maybe blogs and SEO as your strategy versus just being active on Twitter.
Yeah, exactly. 95% of people often read user reviews before making a purchase. So it shows that it's a very important part of the purchasing decision cycle, but it shows that shoppers in the US do like to see reviews that they've made straight away. So having a review section on whatever you're offering is very important in that way.
Yeah, this is an amazing set of data, because I did assume that a lot of people would be interested in reading user reviews, but I didn't expect it to be 95%. It's a wild number.
Yeah, for sure. We can actually see that the majority is positive. So if they've had a positive experience, they like to shout about it. So 68% of people would do a positive review. Only 5% of people would leave a negative review.
This is so surprising, because when I kind of asked this question to my friends in just a casual conversation, their assumptions was that people are more tempted to leave negative reviews. And I had also thought that as well. So this is definitely like a myth buster type of answer.
There is also results breakdown. So within results breakdown, you can break down by question or demographic. So let's say I want to look at demographics. So let's choose region. I know we've talked about it already, but then you can go down to question 6 and then look at the positivity by the different areas and compare the different areas about who's doing what. And then in the top right hand corner, you can actually look at some significance testing between the different areas to see which is doing what.
I think after seeing the results, I will likely revisit our copy on the landing pages. And then also, we were thinking a lot about gamification and incentives, but now seeing that was the 4th on the list when it came to what motivates you to leave reviews, maybe put less of a focus on that and more of a focus on the highlight with great experiences and like overall the positive side of things.
If you want to share the link with anyone else that has it, you can. If you just want to share that with anyone else, they can also have a look at the data and they can also have a play around with it. Survey dashboard, there are more templates available. So on the left hand side, you have brand perception, you have brand tracking, which is one of the other Academy pages, but you also have concept testing, market analysis and creative testing. So the platform itself can be used for so much more than consumer profiling and brand tracking, and there are templates on the platform.
So you kind of choose your objective and then you go forward with the survey design.
Exactly, yeah. And then, as I said, the research team are here to help you refine those questions to make sure your objectives are met.
So self-serve, but with a support team or research team.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow, those results were mind-blowing, and I already have so many ideas on how to use that information into, I guess, number one, repositioning my brand, but also, I guess, implementing different features into the platform that we were building. So number one thing I'm thinking about is that we need to maybe rewrite the copy on our landing page, which was a good insight. But aside from how to re-strategize the positioning and maybe add new features to the platform, I'm also thinking that I want to share the results of this study with the Web3 community, because there's very few studies done for this particular audience and community. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed this video and I'm sure you learned something new. Let me know if I was able to intrigue you into running your own consumer research study maybe, or going through the consumer profiling track in Consumer Research Academy by Attest. Attest is a self-serve platform which you can use on your own completely to design your own surveys without the need of having research experts within your in-house team. However, they do provide designated support from research experts like Nick, which you have just met in the video. And if you're feeling ready to design your first survey with Attest, you're going to find a link in the description box below that gives you a 10% off for your first year subscription on Attest. Wishing you all the best with your surveys. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Take care. I'll see you next time.